Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from today. Welcome to another Authentic Conversations. I'm your host, Adele Bernard, and I welcome you. And I just want to start off by saying a little bit about me and my company, Transition Clarity. So, I'm a soul strategist, intuitive guide, and I'm here to help primarily the men. I do work with women as well, but primarily the men who are wanting to remember who they are. And it's all about the journey within, remembering the little boy that wanted to be a fireman, wanted to be a Superman, wanted to be a Batman or a Robin, right? Or a Tinkerbell. Who knows? It's the journey inward to release the have tos, the shoulds, you must out of your life so you can remember who you truly are in the God essence. And I'm not talking religion, I'm talking God. And it's a beautiful journey. It's not a cookie cutter, it's not a fast journey. It's a step by step by releasing the old saying of you have that backpack on your back, let's release the rocks and take it off once and for all so you can actually shine in your life as you're meant to. And if you want to learn more, you can check out the show notes or check out Transition Clarity or follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm all over the place. And I would love if you guys could subscribe, leave your comments, share what you like about these podcasts. And I'd love to hear from you. And if you have a guest that you would like to see on the podcast, send me a note and we can discuss it. And with that, I'm going to introduce my guest today. Today, I have Jennie Hays. She is beyond mindset mentor and brain spotting practitioner who helps heart-led entrepreneurs move through the invisible transitions that keep them stuck. Visibility, fears, self-doubt, and the pressure to push through. With over 20 years as a paramedic and years helping clients break free from imposter syndrome, she blends the body based work with practical strategy to help people show up fully in their chapter of their lives. Jennie specializes in helping people navigate internal transitions, the kind nobody sees but everyone feels. Her work is fast body led and results focused, helping people break through stuck places so they can move forward with clarity and confidence. And with that, let's welcome Jennie to the show. And here she is, Jennie Hays. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I love an opportunity to share and talk and chat. And the only thing better would be if we were shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, one day, one day. Um, so I did your in the pre-show I shared who a little bit about who you are and how you became what you became. But give us in your own words, um, how did you become this mindset practitioner from your background? Like, show us the transition you did.
From a lot of drama and a lot of trauma and a lot of damage that had to get undone, I'm sure. Um, the funny thing is that I was exploring this with another person one day. And when I was very young, my mom said, "You need to be a therapist." And I said, nope, not going to be a therapist. That's not who I am. That's not the kind of person I am. And so at that time, I was going to be a famous country singer. Of course, I'm not. And then I was decided that I was going to be an accountant. I fell in love with, we have competitions here in Texas that are kind of like athletics of the brain called
Oh, okay.
UIL. And I competed in UIL in accounting, and I did quite well until I actually got into accounting in college, and I got scared out of it really fast. So, not being able to find the penny makes a big difference. So, I was going to be an accountant, and then I went into customer service because I had to have a job and I didn't know what I wanted to do. Ended up in medicine, worked as a CNA, unit clerk, that, kind of all around hand in the hospital while I got my paramedic license. Did that for a decade, got burnt crispy. Oh my gosh, was I crispy. Um, and then it was like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. So shortly after that, I married my husband
Oh,
and helped
wow.
him run his 6-figure business.
Okay.
And then decided, okay, I'm going back to medicine because I feel the need to really help people. And so I ended up working as a podiatry tech for a couple of years, and then as a paramedic in radiology. Um, and then I was working as a paramedic in radiology, and I got told that I couldn't educate people on their health. I was supposed to just do the thing. And it's really deep into the whole insulin resistance path that I started off in coaching. But I mean, I wasn't telling them what to do. I was saying, hey, why don't you go watch this video? Or have you checked out this study? And they did not like that. So I was like, well, I've got to do this because I'm the kind of person when I get consumed with something, I need to do it.
Mhm.
And helping people, watching people come in one after another on this death cycle of what current medicine is just was horrible. And I wanted to give them an opportunity. So I opened my own coaching. And so I started off as an insulin resistance coach. Only problem was I couldn't market myself. I couldn't share what I
Oh, to
did.
say his insulin. Yeah, no, you can't market
I
that.
couldn't do, well, no, there's people out there that need it, but I was all hung up in my mind, and my body was like, I can't say this because of my license, and I can't say this because they're going to shut me
Oh,
down and they're going
right.
to cut me off of Facebook, and Google doesn't want me to say this. And I really got into my head about it. And so I ended up having to get a job because I had quit to do the coaching. And yeah, my husband comes in and he was like, you've made $267 in the last 3 years, not counting what I'd spent on tens of thousands for training programs. And he said, you've got to get a job. I can't do this by myself right now. So I cried, kicked, screamed, moaned, groaned, ended up with this wonderful company called Zinnie that helps therapists to start and grow their practices. And I was helping to coach these therapists to grow their practice. And I'm doing what they taught us, Brainspotting, which is an insane tool that I absolutely love. And using this Brainspotting, I was watching people go from where I was, where they couldn't market, to all of a sudden having successful practices, like night and day, in no time at all. And it didn't click. And so I remember sitting at my desk one day in tears because it was like, I'm just not meant to be an entrepreneur. Because before all of this, I had tried Mary Kay and Amway and you name a multi
That's not
level, I
right. I
probably
know, but
did it.
I'm just gonna get a caveat for you. Those aren't those give you the illusion that you're
Mm-hmm.
an entrepreneur under an umbrella of a company.
Right.
And don't
But
get
you,
me wrong, I met Mary Kay. She was a wonderful lady. No, anyways, carry on.
well, my problem was I still didn't market it. So it didn't matter whether it was their company or mine. I wasn't doing the thing.
Right.
So I had decided that I just wasn't meant to be an entrepreneur. And it clicked at that moment. I was like, why don't I brain spot this? Why don't I check to see what my brain and body really have to say about this, and what's true versus what my past is telling me, basically. And so I went to a friend of mine who also does brain spotting, and we swapped sessions. And I came up with two not very world changing ideas that changed my world, things I had taught people all the time. Do what you love. Well, at that point, I was not loving insulin resistance coaching. The little I was doing, I was self sabotaging. I was hating every minute of it. And do it the way that makes sense. Do what needs to get done, but make it make sense to your body for who you are. And it was like, oh, I can just pick the ways that I want to market. I don't have to market everywhere. I don't have to market the way anybody tells me to. I just need to be visible. And so that was the day that I decided, okay, I'm going into this. I call it beyond mindset because this is so much faster and bigger than just traditional mindset. But that's what I'm going to do. And the way I'm going to market is I'm going to talk to wonderful people like you. I'm going to just share what I know the way that I want to. And a lot of networking, a lot of meeting people. Yeah. And within 4 months, I was profitable.
Cool. That's awesome. So help us understand when you say a session of brain spotting. Like, it's not like you have a laser beam that can go in the brain and go, there you are, or there you are. Like, like explain. Yeah.
What the heck is brain spotting? Yeah, I had somebody tell me, she says, it sounds like your brain's bleeding. I was like, no. So the theory is, because it's really hard to prove some of these theories, but this is grounded in science, that we store our memories 3D. So if you think about it, when you think about a memory, you can actually usually picture where that memory is in your mind, right? Mm-hmm. And so we use the eyes to anchor to these memories that are causing the issue. You may not know what the issue is, but you'll find that if you're talking about the issue, many times your eyes will just go there. And even if they don't, I can direct you and you'll feel the difference. So something that you and the audience can try right now, just to kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about. Think of the last thing that just really irritated you, as they say, got your goat, traffic, loved one, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I want you to feel it, really feel it in your body, that kind of irritation. All right. Now, just using your eyes while you're focusing on that feeling, mm-hmm. I want you to look all the way to your right, mm-hmm. and come back to the center, still thinking about that sensation, and all the way to the left and back to the middle. Mm-hmm. And most people will feel one side different than the other.
I gotta do it again.
Yeah, do it again, because it's harder when you're talking to me.
Okay, so this is interesting. If I let my mind decide, it's right.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Energetically, I feel I've cleared it. So interesting. This is interesting. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So if I go back, rewind to when an incident happened, like say the frustration in the
mm-hmm. Whatever it was. Yeah.
My right side is triggered. But because the incident in traffic has passed and I've dealt why I got so triggered, I'm like, yeah, pretty neutral right now. So to me, that's happy. Like,
right.
I'll take the non-feeling.
Take the win.
Side. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can still feel the difference. And many times what it is that traffic incident you cleared, mm-hmm. but the thing that led up to the irritation behind the traffic incident
Mm-hmm.
might still have a little bit of a core there, and that can easily be cleared with brain spotting. So, because what we find is that the things that get us in the day to day are usually not what the problem is. It's just like arguing with your loved ones. You're never arguing with your loved ones about doing the dishes,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's always something else deeper, a
Mm-hmm.
childhood scar, or something else when we were
Well, and
growing
it's
up.
interesting you brought that up because I was talking to somebody the other day um, about like just cooking a meal,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I cook or whatever, I want to be in the kitchen alone.
Mm.
Don't come try help. Don't just stay out, right? Yet every once in a while there is the odd person that can seamlessly sneak in, start helping. I kind of notice them there, but they're not in my way. And I'm like, huh, the right people can come into the kitchen with me. The wrong
Mm-hmm.
ones stay out.
Right.
And it doesn't matter who it is, friend, family, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And some of it may be that you're in the right place where it's not, you can't feel them in the
Well, I know,
room.
but so I'm not trying to make the show about me, but anyways,
No.
but
Yeah.
it's just really interesting. So here we were in when I was in corporate, we went for a team build to a commercial kitchen.
Okay.
I know it's a team build. I
That'd
know
be
I
your
have to
nightmare.
play. They're all in the main part of the kitchen and I'm on the outside. I had to have my own counter.
Yeah.
I was still part of the group, but separate.
But separate.
In my own way of like, I don't want to bump elbows. I don't want to get you to cut your finger because I bumped you. Like, and ugh, maybe I need brain spotting on this. But anyways, right? Because it's also I'm also very safety conscious because I've been
Hmm.
in a lot of jobs of safety and food prep and all this, right? So it could be a whole ball of wax of like, or I just prefer to do it myself.
It does it interfere with your life, or is it just the way you are? Because yes, you could brain spot it, but does it is it something you really need to work on, or is it just something you go, hey, stay out of my kitchen?
Well, and I think because we've come through the holidays and stuff, like I'm more aware of it,
Hmm.
right? I didn't because um like when I go into the kitchen, I'm alone in the kitchen. It's not like I have a family of kids or whatever, or husband coming in and saying, "What are you doing?" It's like, yeah, I go in, I make my food, I leave, right? Um, and so it's just interesting how this is all coming up, and I'm like, I'm ready to
Yeah.
release it. It's good. But I also know the right person, possibly my husband coming in, um, when he shows up, like we'll just work.
Hmm.
Like if I'm stirring over here, he can be washing over there, like or whatever. Right?
It's like he becomes an extension of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also to the incident, because I always say to people, an accident is only an incident waiting to happen. And they'd be like, "What?" I go, "There's no accident in life. It's an incident saying, wake up, pay attention. What are you thinking?" Right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you might have gotten hit, rear end or whatever as you're going to work. But really, what was happening? It was like, wake up. You really want to be taking the day off and going to the mountains. But
Yeah.
either way, you wanted the day off. You just got it in a different way.
Different way. Yeah, that
So,
goes right along with my theory of be careful what you pray for, because there's the joke about don't pray for strength because God gave you chances to be strong, but
mhm,
also when you pray for everyday things, I pray for more time with my husband, and then he gets laid off. It's like, well, that does fulfill what I prayed for. Or,
Yeah.
sometimes we have to see that there is, it's not that you shouldn't have prayed for time with your husband, but you should appreciate the things that, even though they feel negative, are actually what you really want. Dive into it, enjoy it, embrace it,
Mhm.
because
Well,
that's a time that you won't ever get back.
and it's interesting because I'm doing a lot of things different in 2026.
Mhm.
And so I used to be like, pray, pray for my husband to come. And then I'm like, I'm not praying for anything else to come anymore. I'm giving gratitude for everything that's here that has
There you go.
evolved me to who I am. And
Yeah,
when and if and whatever this is supposed to be granted, the doors are open and I welcome.
there you go.
And the shift in it, like, so as an ex paramedic,
Hmm.
you could get this. So when I first started on this really intuitive guided journey, I would go in between leaving my corporate job, but I had a meeting, but I didn't have enough time to go home. So I'd stop at a mall or go go to a restaurant, whatever, have a bite to eat and go out to the meeting. How many times did I have see people having a seizure, having medical, and I'm like, what is going on? And so I'd go into my trance, right? I'd send the love and light, I'd help whatever. Whoever was supposed to call the ambulance, everything's cool. And I said to my girlfriend, who's a psychologist, I said, I'm not asking for this to come in, right? And she'd say, but you're asking for signs that this is your path.
Ah,
And I said, what's my path? That you are a natural healer. You will step in and shine your light wherever it's needed. And I was like, the joke God
and
plays, right?
yeah, and here's the
Thanks for the message. Got it.
flip side of the coin.
Hmm.
This isn't what you were asking for, but it may be what they were asking for.
Well, yeah, and I went down that road too, right?
Yeah.
Because um, I've heard, just like, because I'm in Canada, and I've heard like a paramedic in British Columbia is not the same as in Alberta, and I'm like, why? And they said the one in British Columbia is a glorified taxi. Do you get a bed? Alberta has more leeway in how
Hmm.
they can help the person on the bed. They have more
Gotcha.
autonomy
Yeah.
to administer to whatever, right? It's not like the movies that they can do anything and everything.
So that's interesting because my experience as a paramedic here in the States, I started off with one of the most forward thinking, or used to be one of the most forward thinking services in the States. It was an award winning state service, Austin Travis County EMS.
Mm-hmm.
We could basically do anything within our scope of practice. And our scope of practice was basically anything that we knew how to do and had a physician's order for. So
Wow.
we ran heart attacks, trauma, all different kinds of CPRs, and it was just us running it. And then we
Yep.
would call if we got into a bind. I was like, hey, there's something weird, or I'd really like to give this drug because it's not in our standing operations. But I know that just outside of Austin Travis County EMS, there are other services, and some of them don't allow them to do hardly anything. They're like, yeah, don't do anything, don't touch anything, just call for help. And so a lot of that is based on down here trust of the medical director, because each service has to have a doctor in charge. And
This
so it
keeps
can be
the
night and
country
day
more divided.
divided. It keeps things up in the air. And, you see it in the pay, which was always a big deal. We were getting premium pay, and had paramedic partners. So it was two paramedics. So we basically had a team on the unit. Whereas these other services, you might have one paramedic and a basic, or, it just didn't have the same cohesiveness, so the same team atmosphere. And then you were getting minimum wage plus to work 24, 48 hours at a
Minimum
time.
wage. Yeah.
Minimum wage plus. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, I can't wait till it all crumbles. I swear, like, just let it all crumble. And so we can bring back the compassion, the love, the community. And it was fun. I can't remember what podcast I was listening to, but they were saying about, the new fire horse coming in, and the next 20 years is all going to be about the fire. And, and they said, but that's going to be awful, right? Because fire gives devastation. Fire gives, right? And the person being interviewed says, fire also brings community back to rebuild. Fire also brings love and support. And I was like, fire it down.
Fire
Like,
brings rebirth. So I was just
exactly.
reading about the giant sequoias in California. And did you know that they cannot reproduce without fire?
Yeah.
They must have fire to open their seed pods. And so
But
fire
it, and
is
I
beautiful.
understand that, but then it was
Yeah.
really sad to hear that the tree that we used to drive through as kids
Yes.
died.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Like,
heard that too.
right? Because you're going, that's a beautiful memory. I don't know if I have a picture of
Mhm.
it anymore, right? Because it wasn't like we could have it all digital and whatever. And yeah, but I know it's part
Yeah.
of life, right?
Yeah. And the ugly comes with the good. And
Yeah.
so it's learning to not just go through life being a complete Pollyanna. I do get accused of always looking on the bright side, but I do think that there's beauty in the destruction if we will find it. Like you said, community, rebirth. There's so much that can come out of it that can be good. We don't want it to begin with. We don't want fire,
Hmm.
but we need fire. The fires that happened around Bastrop a little over a decade ago, we were involved in that, not directly, but indirectly. We were actually moving from one home to another, and we had close calls with both houses. And so we were like, what do we
Oh
do?
my
We
gosh.
got most of our stuff is in a trailer waiting for us to decide to move or not. And the cats were in carriers by the door so that we could get out if we needed to. And it was a very stressful time. But the reason it happened is that the underbrush hadn't been kept up.
Hmm.
And so if we had allowed the natural fires to
Hmm.
happen every so often, that would be cleaned out and there wouldn't have been such a devastating fire. So
Hmm.
there's also that side of it. The little fires prepare us or prevent the big fires.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you see it on all sides. Like, they before our city got as big as it is, they used to do controlled burns. Like, there's a
Mm-hmm.
huge park in the northwest of my city, and they used to do controlled burns, right?
Yeah.
But now the fire department's saying, yeah, we're not trusting we can put it out, right? Because one, we have huge winds, right?
Right.
And two, instead of just like one area of houses to on one side of it, they had to be contend with. It's now surrounded
Right.
by 100,000 houses, right? So I get it, but I also go, eh. You got a
Yeah.
lot of people up there that you're like, um, and maybe they're more health conscious now, like they're not going up there smoking to, like,
the these big fires are not generally set by people accidentally smoking. Occasionally they are, but a lot of them have been set by people either intentionally or they're cooking. It's people who are on the fringe of society
mhm,
that are doing this, and hopefully not for the actual fire, but it's not normal everyday people just screwing up usually.
So were you a paramedic in an ambulance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did 911 response for about a
Okay.
decade.
So is this the same like in Canada, um like what I've heard from the paramedics, the police and the fire is they figure 80% of the homeless would not be homeless if we actually looked after mental care.
Easily.
So you're saying the same thing, which is
Yeah.
something that we have to change the stigma on.
So, yeah, back in the US, I think it was Reagan that decided that he was going to shut down the mental institutions. And there was good cause for it because they were being abused. It
Hmm.
was not a good, healthy, what we think it should have been, you know, and people were getting committed for nothing. I mean, there's a paper about a guy who committed himself to see how bad they were and then couldn't get out because he'd committed himself. And they thought it didn't matter how sane he acted, it just proved that he was crazy. Um, that's been repeated a few times. There was actually a group of like 5 students that did it too, and they couldn't all get out. It was horrible. So what we had didn't work, but lack of it is even worse because I know that we would go pick up people who really needed mental assistance.
And you couldn't get it.
Um, well, the only option we had was to take them to the ER where they were discharged in a few hours, or take them to the emergency service we have, and they would keep them for 3 days for observation and send them home. And it's like these people want to kill themselves. Yeah, but they're not actually, they don't have a knife and practicing doing it. Well, by the time they do that, they're dead. Or,
They
you know,
don't
by the
need a
time they
knife
do
to
that,
jump off a
somebody
bridge.
else, yeah, somebody else is dead, or
Yeah.
something has happened. And so, yes, we had a lot of that. The other thing is addiction. And I don't know the answer to that one, except that there is a really interesting study about mice. It was mice or rats, one of the two. And they were using regular water or cocaine water, I believe it was. And when they had just a regular cage, the mice always drank the cocaine water and died. They just kept drinking it, kept drinking it, kept drinking it. But when they built a cage that had community and things to do,
Oh,
and
okay.
all of, they actually had entertainment and the
They're just
support
drinking
system,
water.
basically they didn't want the cocaine anymore, they just wanted the water. And I think that speaks a lot about our society and the way that we're set up, is that having dealt with so many addicts in my past, seeing that it is a mental health issue. There's something broken in there. I'm
Oh
much
my
more on that
gosh.
line than I am of it being a health disease. It's not a health disease, it's a heart disease.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation because the few veterans and sober people that I've worked with over the
Mm-hmm.
years is especially the veterans,
Yes.
any rank,
And God bless them. I mean,
right?
where would
They
we be without them?
but they went in broken boys and came back angry men.
Angry and
And
broken men.
they're just thrown to the wayside,
Yeah.
right? So they feel, well, my country, I go and fight for my country as a broken boy. Now I come back a totally messed up man. They're throwing me to the wolves by putting me on the streets. Well, what else is there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cocaine,
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean,
And
there's,
and you're like, and the thing is like, as many as I've talked to and worked with, I'm just like, one, they shouldn't be able to sign up for any degree. Even police officers and firefighters are asked to come back into 25. You have to have more life under you, right? But
yeah,
they're like 17, barely 18. They don't even know their head from the hole in the ground.
right. They don't have a clue.
And then they're coming back at 24.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm an adult. An adult for what? To murder people?
Yeah.
To be able to be stuck in a submarine for 3 months at a time?
to follow orders,
I know,
to
like,
follow.
and even in how many police officers that I know that would win award and award and award, they'd retire at
And kill
55.
themselves.
They have no life. They end up at the bar or dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be a very, very taxing. You can see my flag behind me. My dad was military, and um, my mom's dad was military, and so we're a military family. And I have the utmost respect in the world, and I it kills me the way that we discard them. You go and you do the hardest job
Hmm.
that you can possibly do. And I know some of the jobs, some of these guys out there are going to go, oh, well, it's actually kind of cushy for me, but it's not even the job. It's the fact that you're willing to do the job. It's the fact that, even if you serve completely in peacetime and you never, ever, ever see war, you still knew that you could be putting your life on the line for me.
Hmm.
And
Well, but
you
that I
gave,
get, but
you
that's where.
became property
Hmm.
of the in the US. I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but in the US, our military, they actually, when you sign up, you become the property of the United States government. And so you became property of the government. You went in and you changed your entire personality, you changed your life, you changed the trajectory of everything you're doing. Not that some of it wasn't amazing, but it could have been really bad, and some of it was really bad for some people. And to discard that and ignore that, and to actually penalize people, because I've seen people penalized in the job hunt and stuff. It's like, I just want to work. Well, you worked in the military, you don't know what you're doing. I was like, they did everything. What are you talking about? This is your most versatile person in the world.
I know, but
The mental issues.
they can't think out of the box. They have to be told everything they have to do.
Yeah, some of them, I will say that, because my dad, he wasn't like that, and I think that it's you do have to weed through them.
Well,
But
but then think about, so your grandfather's generation,
yes.
right, who went to World War II,
Mm-hmm.
they signed a DNA. They could not talk about it. So we want, like, this is just in my own little brain. I'm
Yeah.
like, so my grandfather for me was my spiritual teacher, right? And then I have a friend whose grandfather was her spiritual teacher, who I knew also. That's how I met her. And I was just like, if these two men weren't in my life,
Where would
I
I
wouldn't
be?
be having this life. But the thing
Yeah.
is they had to learn a different way of coping
Mm-hmm.
because they weren't allowed to come home and say anything.
Yeah.
They had to pull up their bootstraps and start life,
And suck it in.
right?
Yeah.
And so I look at these two amazing men who had the gentlest, kindest souls, that if they had trauma, they weren't saying anything. They weren't mentioning it. They weren't, right? And you think, and now these guys are coming back now going, we need to talk about this. This is wrong,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And yeah. And so now I see why you have your servitude heart, because you didn't want to go military route, but the paramedic route is the way you could help. And now
I
you,
actually almost went military. If I hadn't been quite such a stubborn young woman, I would have been in the Air Force. I took the ASVAB. I scored a 98. I was most impressed that I beat Vanessa Webb, who I thought was so much smarter than me. So that was like the big, if you're listening, Vanessa, I still love you. But I thought that was the big thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I was smarter than she was. They offered me military intelligence. So it would have been third generation military intelligence. But the thought of doing languages and stuff like that, just, I couldn't do it. And so I went and did accounting until I actually saw what accounting was. So would have been not much different. So I almost was military. The only piece of it that I feel like I missed out on, other than being able to say I'm third generation, um, is the family. Because the military, you walk in and you are immediately family. When I meet somebody who has served and they see my flag, they know that I'm safe and that I'm family because there's an immediate connection. And so that is mimicked in first response. I still, even to this day, and I've been off the truck for almost 15 years now, when I see a medic or a firefighter or a cop in uniform, I'll still do the head nod. And they look at me like, who the heck are you?
They do that to me because I've never been in it, but I have full
Yeah.
respect for them.
And so I'll give the head nod like, I know, I see you. I'm one of you. And they have no idea who I am. And I find it kind of funny. But I still have that level of respect because they are extended family. When 9/11 happened, I was crushed for the people in the building, but I was more crushed for the first responders who went and found there was nobody to pull out of the building. That was at the very beginning of my journey.
Sorry, the sun's getting at me.
Oh yeah.
But so that's interesting because and even with the vets that I still talk to and stuff, it's like at first I was invited to a group and I'm a talker and I could not say a word. And then one of the other people that had just met me, they said, please come back. And I said to my friend who invited me, I said, I just have to vent. And I know you're probably not the one I should be venting to. But part of what I was frustrated with on the call was they're staying in their trauma by talking about it day in and day out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is what a lot of therapy is teaching people that have had trauma, like our vets. And that's another reason, going back to the brain spotting, that I love brain spotting, is that when I'm doing a session of brain spotting, you don't even have to talk about it. You don't even have to bring up the words. So the wonderful woman that taught my group, she had an emergency doc who worked with peds, who came in right around the whole COVID time. And he'd had a number of deaths of these kids, one after another, and he was suicidal. I don't work with suicidal people. Let me put that out there. I will get you. I know a lot of therapists. I can contact somebody and get you in good care, but I don't do that. But she did. She was actually a full-fledged therapist. And so she brought him in for a session. They sat down. They talked about it enough that they could find where that memory was stored, like we talked about. And he sat in complete silence for the entire session until the end. And then he got up and said, okay, I'm better. And he walked out the door. She doesn't know exactly what he was processing. I love the journey of the process, but you don't have to say a word about it. And it takes the pain away from it. It takes the power away from it. It doesn't erase it, because that what you've been through, you'll always have been through. If you are tied up, like I worked with one young woman who'd been sexually assaulted, it didn't erase anything to where if she goes into court now, she's not going to have that information. But there's not the emotion. Yeah, it just like turns it off. Now this is it just happened. And I think a lot of that, I've been thinking about why brain spotting and why now? Why has it all of a sudden become a thing? And I think you touched a little bit on it when you were talking about the vets coming home now versus WW2. WW2, yeah, they had TV and radio, but they didn't have these things.
Oh, but I
And
mean,
they didn't
we've,
have to go 90 miles an hour all the time.
yeah.
And one of the things that brain spotting really does is it makes you sit for an hour and just process the trauma. And we're not processing trauma anymore. When things come
No,
in,
we
if we
just
don't
pile them
like
on
it,
top of each other.
we just push it away. Yeah. And so, the best thing you can do to keep trauma from happening going forward is like what you did with the car incident. It's like, or the traffic. You it's like, okay, I'm going to think about it. I feel it. I'm going to process it. I'm going to let it go.
Yeah,
The root problem could still be there. Maybe you need something deeper for that.
yeah.
But the thing the other day doesn't bother you anymore. And it does
Well,
not going to come back to haunt you.
and it's interesting because um I question if, as human beings in this experience, especially
Mm-hmm.
coming out of 2025, do we have enough just joy and play in our life?
Oh, no, not
Personally, I would say
close.
no, because people go, well, I go to pickleball, and I go, that's competition. Do you have play? Like, you just go to laugh and carry on like kids, right? And even like Emilio on his show, just tap in, was saying when he started playing basketball, it was for the joy of it.
Yeah.
And then he signed up for leagues.
Mm. Change the whole feeling.
He got into competition, and he goes, I don't like basketball. And then he's
Yeah.
gone back to the joy of it.
Yeah.
Like, let's
Yeah.
go shoot some hoops, like
My
whatever.
husband and I play Super Mario. So,
But at least
um,
it's together.
yeah, yeah. Last year, and there's the competition is always jokingly. It's a joking competition because I will always outscore him, not because I'm a better player, but because he wants me to outscore him. And so we
What do you
joke
mean he
about,
wants you to outscore him?
oh, because he wants me to feel like I'm winning, even though I know I'm not winning.
Oh,
So
so
he's
if
like
he's
the
playing by
mom.
himself, like he would
He
demolish.
would be he probably would be, yeah, he's much more coordinated than I am. He sat down when we first got it and he was just like jumping and doing all this stuff, and I'm like, what are, I know there's buttons here, they do something. He's just more naturally adept at it.
Probably
But
because he
then
played as a child.
probably, and he did, and it
Yeah.
was his favorite game. But I'm better at remembering where we are and what we're doing and what the maze is and what the challenges are that are coming up. And so we work together and play together and laugh together when we die 18 times. And last Thanksgiving, not this Thanksgiving, but last Thanksgiving, we took that entire week, and that's what we did. We sat in front of the TV and just played Super Mario, and we had the best time. And now we have an amazing memory. And a lot of people would say, well, there's no value to that. You didn't go do family, you didn't have these big meals, you didn't travel. And it was like, no, we saw everybody at Christmas. But for those 2 days, we got to see each other, and just, it was like two kids sitting there on the couch eating pizza and all those things we're not supposed to eat, and had a blast.
But you
And
need
we need
to have
more.
those.
Yeah, we need more of that in our lives. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it is funny because I'm reading this book right now, and I was like, dang, this computer thing's just getting in my way of reading my book. Because I just want to take a day off and go read my book. But I I take my hour instead. Like,
There you go.
but like, right, like it's like, but what better way to use Thanksgiving, the time of gratefulness, to self nurture you,
Yeah.
to build on your relationship with your husband, the number one unit,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And like I said, it's a memory that we'll cherish. And, you know, yeah, I always laugh. You were talking earlier about, you're waiting for your husband. You're waiting for
Well, I stopped waiting. He
him
can
to,
show up whenever he
but
decides.
yeah, he's going to show up when he comes. And that is actually a really good sign that he's coming. Because right before my husband and I met, I had gotten to the point where I was like, I'm just not dating for a while. I'm just going to hang up the dating thing altogether. Um, and I laugh because I always say I researched how to find you, because during that time it was like, I'm going to research how to flirt, how to be a good wife, how to understand men, how to do, all these different things. There's a great book for women only, and I would butcher the lady's name if I
Mm-hmm.
tried to say it, but it was really good about pointing out how men think differently than women and how important that is in a relationship to understand that. And so I always joke that, yeah, I researched you before I found you.
Well,
It was
and I want to take it a step further because I primarily work with men.
right.
And in doing so, they say that women don't open up space for them,
Interesting.
right? And I also said on a podcast that we sent them to the cave,
Yeah.
right? Because we, like, women get busy running the house, checking where the kids are. The husband comes home. Oh, hi. He doesn't know what to do. One gentleman actually told me, "Oh, the only reason my family talks to me is if they need money."
Yeah.
He considers him the bank. I said, "You're joking. You gotta have more interaction than that." No, not really.
No.
And I'm like, so the men I work with, I say, "Are you coming from the boy's standpoint, the man's standpoint, or the gentleman's standpoint?" Because the women now have elevated. They don't need your money.
Yeah.
They don't need you to buy their house or their car or to pump the gas, right? But they want you to hold them
Mm-hmm.
when the outside world is hard. They want you to remember they're hurting too,
And
right?
I would go so far, at least in my situation, I want him to pump the gas, not because I can't. I want him to acknowledge the fact that you can, but I'm doing this for you because I love you.
Well, because
And then I
that's your
want to
love
tell
language
him,
is acts of service.
yeah. And then I tell him, thank you for
Mm-hmm.
everything. And my husband actually, again, God bless him, he does most of the cleaning. He does a lot of the cooking. Uh, I try to help, but a lot of times I'm in the way. I'm not a bad cook. It's just he has a gift. And so he does all these things, but he does them for me not because I'm weak. He said one of the things that attracted him, he was attracted to me by, was the fact that I was able
Mm-hmm.
to do all these things. I could do it on my own. I didn't need him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So now
But
he
you
gets
appreciate
to
when
do it,
he
and I
does
can
it.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do. I love when he, gets up in the morning and he's like, "Do you want breakfast? I'll cook you some breakfast." I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "I don't even eat breakfast, but I'll eat breakfast if you cook it for me,"
Mm-hmm.
kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
Oh,
like that's the thing, right? It's like um there is a study that um like women have houses long before men. They
yeah, I
have
believe
more.
that.
They're now proving that they're making more than men,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing. Like I said to one of my clients, because he goes, "Oh, like I open up the door, like for a woman." I go, "Don't let her ego stop you from being a gentleman,
Be the gentleman,
right?"
because that
And
right woman will come
well,
across you
and
and go,
because he was like, and then he goes, "I know you can open it. I chose to do it for you."
"Yeah." Do you know one of the reasons I moved back? Not the main reasons, but one of the reasons I really celebrated moving back to the Austin area from the DFW area was because men opened the doors for women here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always loved being treated like a lady. I want to treat you like a man.
Mm-hmm.
I
Not
think
like a
men need
child.
that, especially right now. Men need to know that. So I'm of Christian faith,
Yep.
and I actually purposely included in my vows the line about serving and the fact that I'm a servant to my husband. But what I love about that verse is the fact that it says that I am to serve him, but that he's to love me the way that God loves the church. So he's to love me enough that I never become a slave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serving somebody who actually adores me,
Mm-hmm.
which makes him want to serve me, which guess that what that makes me want to do.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? It comes
Yeah.
down to the respect and um the admiration, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's like, well, and even the silly movie that I watched the other night, it was just like she was a travel writer and she just could never settle down, and that her best friend was settled down in the old town that she grew up in, and she's like, ick, right? But in the end they get together because she was looking for home, not
Mm-hmm.
realizing he is her home.
He's home.
So wherever he is, she's home. And then he was like, well, I never thought about moving anywhere because, well, my grandmother gave me her house and like I have a job. And then she's like, come work in New York. Okay. Like, right.
Okay.
And the whole thing was like they would meet every summer for 1 week to travel.
Yeah.
Right. And then, yeah. So, I mean, it was
Yeah.
a cute movie, but it was just, and that's what I always used to say. Like I'd be having girlfriends years ago talking about when I meet my man, he'll fit me like a glove. And my friend who was having troubles with her partner at the time, she's like, "What the heck does that mean? That doesn't mean anything." But my friend who is married, she goes, "Makes 100% sense."
Yeah.
Right?
I knew. I knew when I met him. We talked. So I met my ex-husband at church and he cheated on me, lied, stole from me. Horrible. I had to have loved him and because I did marry him. I was 16, But I met my current husband at a bar and we just talked for 2 weeks on the phone. We didn't see each other again for 2 weeks. And the first time I saw him after the end of that 2 weeks, we went out to this farm where he was living on, and we were sitting there talking, and he's telling me how he never wants to get married again. And I'm thinking, oh, I am in so much trouble right now. Well, little did I know the reason he was telling me all that is because he was like, I've got to figure out a way to not end up marrying this girl. So there's something about when you find the right one, there's your heart is at home. Like you said, it's just, he made sense. Did we have problems? Did we have things we had to figure out? Do we still fight sometimes? Yeah, but when we fight now, we've been doing this for almost 16 years. Um, Actually, it'd be 16 days, 16 years and 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we know that when we fight, it's just going to be a fight and then it'll be okay tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's something about finding that home with somebody that is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, I think pretty quick because we were married in 6 months and he would have had us married in 2 months if I hadn't insisted on having a wedding.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
But
He
it's
asked me
all
3 times.
that didn't
I
work for
made him.
my ex.
Yeah.
The third time I'm like, yeah, bye. Um
Yeah.
but the thing is that um like yeah, your first marriage didn't work out, but in a way the cheating was actually your release
Mhm.
to say thank to thank him for cheating so you guys could release each other.
Well, there was so much about it that I'm glad I experienced it because I knew that I wanted to be married. I knew I didn't want to be married to him. Um, he created situations where I brought a lot of baggage into this relationship, but I've been able to heal that. Um, he's no longer alive, so I hope he healed
Mm.
his. But yeah, it wasn't actually even, I guess the cheating was the final nail in the coffin, but it was the financial cheating that actually separated us.
What do you mean
Because,
financial cheating?
well, I, it came down to a
Hence why you
$15
went to,
pager.
no, but hence why you looked at accounting because you're never going to get cheated again.
Well, no, it was actually accounting came before him. No, he would he would work, so I got to give him credit for that. But when instead of bringing the paycheck home, he would go and spend it. And so I was constantly living dollar to dollar, day to day, trying to eke by enough just to survive, living off of student loans for a majority of the marriage. And then I started working because originally I was the one going to school, which was keeping us in the student loans. So I start working, and the vehicle that we had gotten so that I could get to and from work, he just decided not to pay on it and didn't tell me. So I'll never forget standing in the parking lot at the hospital thinking someone had stolen my car and having to call the cops and them say, no, it was repossessed. And so then I lose my job because I can't get to it. And so I'm sitting at home again, dependent on him again. And
And
I had
he
a,
had a vehicle?
he had, it wasn't that he had a vehicle, he had friends who would pick him up and drive him. He was one of
Oh,
those people that everybody would lay down for, and that he screwed him over royally every time. But everybody just thought he was the cream of the crop, cherry on top. Um, and so he was still working, and I had a $15 pager, $15 a month. And he let that bill, he just didn't pay that bill either. And it was like, here I am, I'm walking to a payphone in the rain, trying to figure out how to work somewhere, do something. You're being flippant, saying, well, just go to the grocery stores right there. You should just work in the grocery store. It's like there was so much just financial cheating. Yeah. He was coming home with big model airplanes and model cars that he would build. And I didn't know it, but he was going to bars and buying things for women and sleeping around. Apparently, he slept around with women since before we got married. I found out from my dad many years later. Wasn't real happy my dad didn't tell me, but he was right in the fact that I wouldn't have believed him. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was really the financial cheating that drove the wedge between us. And so I left and I said, you have 6 months. I want you to get a job and keep the same job, because he would job hop constantly. I want you to get a bank account and have money in the account and have money in savings. And when you have that, I'll come home. And 2 months later, he ran off with another woman. So I was like, and then called me and wanted me to come get him. I was like, no, I'm not going to come
you're
get
like,
you.
good riddance. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
I still feel bad for her. So,
But that's why you look at like con men and
mm-hmm.
you go,
Oh, and he was
how did
good
that
too.
intelligent woman get conned out of all her money? Because they're desperate and they're lonely and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. I had some trauma in my past that made me feel I wasn't worth anything. And here comes this older man who's going to woo me and make me feel like I'm special.
I'm
And
surprised your
eventually,
parents let you marry him.
um, the conversation, well, they didn't allow me to marry him. They allowed me to date him. I married him. I had just barely turned 18 and married him, but we started dating when I was 16 and he was 23. And the conversation was, well, I'm an old 16 and he's a young 23. And so then they put their foot down and didn't want me to see him anymore. And I ran away. And then as soon as I turned 18, married him. I wasn't very bright. I learned a lot and it got me where I am today. So I'm not bitter about it. But there's definitely, there were things that I was telling my stepdaughter that she could have avoided that she didn't avoid either. So it's like, don't do what I did. Oh, you did what I did? Yeah. Now you're coming back and saying, yeah, I shouldn't have done what you did. You're right. Okay, good. Move on.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
Interesting, huh? That's and it's
But
not
it,
who
but
I
it's also, but it looks like to me, it it just shows up in the choices we make,
uh-huh,
right? Because
yeah,
I was going down the accounting route until I realized like this is going to kill me.
yeah. That's where I was
And
too.
I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, me too.
So to find the penny
Hmm.
cost them hundreds of dollars because I
Yeah.
was too dyslexic to find it. But you know,
And it was in the days before we had Excel and all of this. So we were doing it manually, right? Yeah. Now I'll never forget the day I walked in. I went to Abilene Christian University and I walk into my very first accounting class and I'm all excited thinking this is going to be amazing. This is going to be awesome. And the guy walks in and he's this crumpled up old man with a big stick. And you just hear him walking thunk, thunk. And I looked at him and I went, that's what I'm going to turn into if I go into accounting. I was done, done.
well, on that note, I love that. Um, so what do you want the listeners to know? Like, I will have all the information in the show notes, how to get a hold of you, all that stuff. But what do you want them to know that as we wrap up?
So I'm going to end with the same thing. I know that we kind of went down some windy roads and had some
Yeah.
fun, but the root of the reason that I come on these things is to let you know that you're not broken.
Hmm.
You're not broken. Really, you're just blocked. There's some things in there that need to get uncovered and healed. For the veterans, I mean, you have a lot of it, but it doesn't mean you're broken. Don't give up
Hmm.
because there's people out here that can help you. You know, you've got Adele here, you've got me, and many others that really want to embrace you and love you. And everybody else who's listening, just know that there's hope because that's what it's all about.
Awesome. So here's a wrap on another wonderful conversation on Authentic Conversations. I want to thank my guest, Jennie Hays, for coming on and sharing her light with all of you. And if you want to know more, check out the show notes, because that's where we'll be. Thanks for listening. I just want to capture what a wonderful conversation that was with Jennie Hays and how the journey is never a straight road. It's every stone, every turn, every decision we make is all added up to who we are today. And if we took one of those stones out or decision out, we might not be where we are. And I think any tool that you can use, whether um, you're doing a deep dive with me through different understandings, beliefs, um, conditionings that no longer fit, or you go to Jennie and use the brain spotting or her tools, there's a wealth of information every turn. This is just one show. I'm more than grateful that you do come and check us out at Authentic Conversations. Remember, everything is in the show notes. And I thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this podcast. Please leave a comment below, and we'll see you next time.